Welcome back, everyone. Romero17 here with another video. Cage offense and cage defense in EA Sports UFC 4. This is going to be breaking down the fundamentals and the key things that you need to know once you get into the clinch position against the cage, which is mainly dominant single under and then the back take. So first off, we're going to cover the cage clinch offense. Going to be using Jorge and Usman here. Going to be using two controllers too, so I can really demonstrate the key components of the clinch. So here with Usman, I'm going to take Jorge Masvidal and drive him up against the cage with the clinch, and it will put me in the dominant single under position. What does this mean? It means I have an underhook. I have head position here. So right here, the first thing that you guys are going to want to know is that when you're pressing R2, you can establish bicep control. You have to reapply it if your opponent presses R2 back, but establishing bicep control, especially if you're the offensive fighter, is the most important thing that you can do here. For if you have bicep control, you get that split-second window advantage so you can land some head strikes. So you have to release R2 to land punches and head knees, but if you already have bicep control, then you have an advantage when it comes to that specific window. Now, if you input circle or X, you're going to be able to knee the legs here, whether you have bicep control or not. If you want to knee the body instead, you're going to hold L2 and then these cheeky knees to the body, which do a good amount of damage, especially if you start to add them in succession. And if you want to land head knees, it's going to be L1, X, or circle. Now, body punches, you're going to press L2 to punch input. If you hold it though, it will initiate a takedown, so keep that in mind so you don't make any mistakes trying to input a punch unless you want to take them down. Also be aware that once you get to this position, if your hand is not obstructed by your opponent, you can land these clinch uppers with the regular punch inputs. L1 will modify the punch input to land at clinch hooks. And if you go L1 triangle and circle or L1 square and X, you'll be able to land these clinch elbows, which do the most damage. Remember, this can only be done, strikes to the head can only be done if your hand is not obstructed by anything. Your hand has to be free. To input the carry slam takedowns, you just have to use L1 when you input L2 square or triangle for your takedown. If you have it in your moveset, of course. You can fake the double by inputting R2 just as you initiate it. And you can go R1 circle or X to initiate this headlock toss into side control. Now in this case, if I want to take their back once I get them to dom single under, I'm going to go with the left stick towards my underhook. In this case, it's going to be back. If it was the other way, I'd go up. Now that I'm in this position here, I can work his legs from here as well by pressing X or circle. I'm going to be able to knee his legs. If I go with the L1 punch input, I'm going to cause a clinch break, but I'll be able to land a hook and separate with some damage. They'll fake the double leg from that position, as you can see right there. And when it comes to landing strikes from the back take position, when it comes to landing the leg strikes, if my opponent is walking, I'm not going to be able to land these knees. When he goes stationary, right? When Jorge goes stationary, then I'll be able to land a knee. But I'm trying to input it here and it's not working. Now, depending on your stance, it's going to be R1 or circle X. You're going to get one of these two takedowns. You're either going to get the drive forward and into backside, or you'll get the nice little mat return. Regardless, both takedowns take your opponent to backside, and they're both extremely solid takedowns. Although the mat return is definitely a lot more demoralizing. Now, the other takedown you can technically get, now if you have a rear naked choke, that's cool, but if you get to the back take, you press R1 and triangle, and you get to this backpack position. Now, if your opponent drives you up against the cage while you have them in the backpack, notice that the stamina from Masvidal goes down a little bit slower, but when we're in open space, he loses a lot more stamina. So keep that in mind. If your opponent's smart, they're going to drive you right back up against the cage, and then they'll press X or circle to get you off. So right here, right back to this backpack position, I'm going to press X or circle, and I'm going to take them down right into back sitting. If your opponent presses X or circle first, then they end up slamming you back and then doing a little bit of body damage to you. And if they have a stamina advantage, then they'll be able to actually end up on top in full guard. So keep that in mind when you go for the backpack. So we covered the fundamentals of cage, clinch, offense. Now we're going to be going over onto defense. So now we will be covering cage, clinch, defense. Now, everybody can be the hammer, not everybody can be the nail. When you have somebody who's pressing you, forcing you to work against the clinch, you could be in for a bad time if you don't know what to do. So the first thing we're going to go over as we get driven to the cage here by Kamaru, we're going to go over basic, fundamental cage, clinch defense. By pressing R2, I'll be able to establish bicep control. Be aware that I have to reapply R2. This will block all punches, head knees, but I will not be able to block the knees to the leg or the knees to the body. If I use the left stick towards my opponent's underhook, in this case I'll be going up, it will automatically frame out against all knees. The easiest one to frame out against is the head knee. You have all the time in the world to do that. The other two, you just have to be preemptively holding it, because those two are much faster. Very well. So it's very important that you know how to recognize the late denial. What's the exact window for the late denial? Because you're not going to be able to just camp forever and just stop all takedowns without getting taken out at least once or twice. So your opponent gets to go through your defense here. Look carefully where the arrow is pointing to. This is where I'm going to input L2 and R2. You'll see my short-term stamina goes down, and that will tell me that I successfully inputted the late denial, and I'm not going to get taken down and destroyed in side control. There's also a myth that people have been spreading that, oh, if you're already holding R2 and you try to input L2, the denial won't go through. That is false. I'm going to do this for two controllers right now. Even though I'm already holding R2, I just have to reapply L2 and R2. So I let go and immediately press L2 and R2 back again at the same time at the exact same window, and boom, I'm still going to be able to hit this late denial. This was done to discourage simply camping. This ain't no UFC 3 with takedown judo counters against anything with 100 GA. Nah, you're going to have to work for this. You got to get your timing down. So one more time. And boom, another late denial. Even though I was already holding R2, I just had to reapply L2 and R2 to get that late denial. If my opponent elects to go for the back take instead and wants to go for the backpack, I'm going to deny by using R2 once I see their hand come up and around, and then use the left stick to break away from the clinch and try to get some space so I don't get put up against the cage again. So we're going to do it again one more time. Deny and then break away. So when it comes to the takedowns, if you're camping L2 and R2, you'll be able to block out incoming takedowns, and you'll see this early denial animation doesn't cost you any stamina. But for the late denial, you're going to reapply L2 and R2 as you get driven. The key thing you want to look at is Kamaru Usman's leg. Once he takes that first step, then I'm pressing L2 and R2, and I'm going to get this late denial. Pay close attention, rewind that back as much as you need to. I even have it in slow motion for y'all so you guys can see specifically what I'm talking about when I mean that by Kamaru's leg going first, or whoever the opponent is, the person who's driving you. So you're going to see it again in real time. You can slow-mo the video from the YouTube video itself. Watch carefully. After that first step, I'm pressing L2 and R2, and that is the late denial. Off the ground. So that's two things you can look at as visual cues. So the takedown is going to go through. I'm going to time it. You see that turn right there? That's when I inputted L2 and R2, and that's going to give me the late denial. So right as the lift is starting, right as you're about to get turned into the mat, you got to time L2 and R2. So that's the visual cue. Really slow-mo that and really take the time to practice this so you can recognize it in real time. So one more time. Boom, late than now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Cage, Clinch offense and defense. This is basically the fundamentals. You know, let your creativity flow when you're fighting somebody and set up things the way you want to set them up. But these are the basic fundamentals to offense, defense. Remember 17, like, share. You know, drop little suggestions on what you want to see in the next video. I am out of here.